Hey, what's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. Giants take 2 of 3 from the Phillies. Are we so back? Alex and I will talk about that. Plus, Alex sat down with Zack Minasian. Get a peek behind the scenes of what's going on in the front office. Can't wait for this one. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Mancini's is now the official sleep partner of the San Francisco Giants, because great performance starts with great sleep. You can save up to 40% off top brands like Beautyrest, plus Tempur-Pedic starting at $29 a month. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. Alex, I am glad I can finally do that new Mancini's ad read after the Giants actually do have great performance.
Yeah, this is one of those where it's like, good thing we didn't podcast on Monday. We did it on Sunday, but after Monday night, and then you get a couple better games to talk about. So
yeah, happy pod.
Right direction.
Yeah. Do we want to start with the first game of the series, though? I mean, just recap them one by one against the Phillies. But obviously, it started with a loss. Giants got beat 6-4. Felt very different than the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's the Phillies thing is weird. They're like 8-20. I don't know, something crazy at Oracle Park in the last 10, 11 years.
Oracle Park has their number.
Yeah, and it's like the third worst record in any matchup in the last decade. I don't remember some team was like 27-4 against somebody else, but it has their number. They're really bad there. Harper traditionally has not been good there. You still see that lineup come through, and you see Turner and Schwarber and Harper, and you're like, okay, there you go.
Feels dangerous.
Garcia now, who is apparently the coldest man alive for 2 nights. But they just don't play very well there. And Monday they come through when they had to. But then the next 2 days really shut it down. But Monday, I thought, the big story Monday is obviously, I think the big story of the whole series and the big story for most of the season is going to be the bullpen.
Yes.
And Monday really was like a microcosm of that. And there's going to be nights like that. I mean, it was Ryan Borucki, who's had a rough start to his Giants career. They kind of found the right spot for him, but he didn't get it done. The 2 guys he was there to retire, he did not retire. So they blow that one. I think it's going to be a theme in all 3 of these games that we talk about, and really everything we talk about, that like they're kind of going to go as the bullpen goes. Like this rotation's been pretty good. Some of the advanced stuff is better than the ERA. ERA's trending in the right direction. I think the lineup's going to be fine. You saw Lily and Matt Chapman, Luis Arias, and Rafi Devers, what they're capable of the last few days. Not totally for all those guys, but Monday I go back to the bullpen and that decision, and those nights are going to be the ones where I think we look back on, like, I saw somebody make this point on Twitter the other day where they were like quote tweeting a tweet about how it's early, and they're like, yeah, but the Giants miss the playoffs by like 2 or 3 games every year. And so those are the ones where you want to lock it up. And to have Monday come on the heels of Sunday was not great. And I think it was an interesting series for Tony, because I thought he did a really good job on Wednesday. And we can talk in general about where he's at, but just didn't love the way he handled Monday's game. Especially the trying to find that spot for Borucki. And, I think one thing he's adjusting to is, when do you bring a guy in for a fresh inning, and when do you bring him in a tough spot? And that's going to be an adjustment for him. And again, don't know how it went at Tennessee, like how many fresh innings he got for these guys. But I think that's one thing we've seen, is he likes to push his starters, and that has put some guys, including Borucki, a couple times now in spots where it's like, hey, couple guys on, go get the outs, and has not gone great.
Yeah, the bullpen management is already like obviously a talking point for a rookie manager, but for that to be done with a bullpen that is, I don't know, just lacking compared to previous, bullpens of SF Giants lore, it's a tough spot. I mean, it's seasons, or I guess rather starts like this, that make you really appreciate how many Giants bullpens we've had that we just don't have to worry about. And it makes me wish that when those were going on, we had talked about or thought about them more. Like the core 4, great.
Yeah.
Didn't really appreciate what we had at the time. I guess last year we did a lot of Giants have the best bullpen in baseball discussion, but that was mostly because there wasn't a lot else to focus on positive wise.
Yeah, and you see it on the other side on Monday where it's like, okay, here's Brad Keller and Duran, and see you later. So it's just a really interesting. I wrote about it Monday, and then I was off Tuesday, and then I wrote about it again on Wednesday because it's much different. But I think it's just going to be the main story the entire year because they're going to have to find some guys, and even when they find guys, you're still, it's not going to be like, hey, Camilo has been here for 4 years now. Tyler Rogers has been here forever. Ryan Walker's in his second or third year. Like whatever we were at early last year, like looks like they maybe found something in Caleb Killian. We're also 6 games into Caleb Killian as a high leverage major league reliever. So we can go on to the rest of the series, but it is funny, like it's so far away now. It's been 18 solid innings since then, but
yeah,
that was one where you kind of just go, I think I would have used Matt Gage in that situation. But yeah, they're trying to find these spots for Baraki, and we've gotten a lot of questions about him. He has one really, really good skill, which is getting left-handed hitters out, and did not work for him that night. It has generally worked for him in his career, but it's a really interesting conversation and something I think we'll continue to talk about of how difficult is that, Javi Lopez, he would still be successful in this day and age, but he wouldn't be the same guy he was because he used to oftentimes come in and face one guy.
Yeah, he was built for a purpose that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah, and Ryan Baraki is built for something that doesn't fully exist anymore, and it's going to be really interesting to see how teams counter. Like we saw the Mets do it, and that's kind of growing pains, I think, for Tony and the staff is like you try to find the spot for him where you have the 2 lefties, but then also you're always like, there's a righty afterwards because usually you don't have 3 lefties in a row. There's a righty on the bench, so that's something I think we'll keep tracking.
All right, let's talk Tuesday's game. Giants win. And this is where, you can kind of say this about Monday, but this is where things started to feel like the right guys are getting hot finally. Guys are racking up multi-hit games. Guys are getting back-to-back multi-hit nights. Matt Chapman, in particular, on Tuesday, lighting it up. And we can't say anything without talking about the likely Giants all-star representative this year in Daniel Susac.
Yeah, he's a catcher. You never know.
You never know.
I feel like sometimes the all-star second catcher has like 4 homers, and no, he's been awesome. I think we might as well just have that conversation now.
Let's do it.
It's the obvious one.
You mean the capital C conversation?
You could. What's your conversation?
It's the Patrick Bailey versus Susac conversation. Yeah, it seems, I think, too reckless to make Susac more than like a once a series guy. Obviously, Bailey's bat doesn't make him viable to put in a game as a DH or anything. But I think the way he calls games, when you saw him calm Killian down on the mound in a dicey situation on Wednesday, I think he has to be the main guy. I'm seeing so many hot takes around social media, around sports media, that it's time to bench Patrick Bailey, arguably one of the faces of the team right now. And I don't see that. But if there's any way, like whether it's mid-game swaps or dare I say Susac DHing, I don't know, to get Susac more at bats, he does seem to have something special about him right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different legs to this. I'm glad you brought up some of the Bailey conversation. I think it's been really unfair to him.
Yes.
He's and this is maybe what you see on social media now. I keep seeing clips of like local, I don't want to call anybody out in specific. Hot take artists. Patrick Bailey's like generally the number 9 hitter on this team. He is.
Yes.
He hasn't hit arbitration yet, so he's making like 5% of what most of the guys in that lineup are making. He's not the reason they got off to a 2.6 runs per game start. He's not there to, like, it'd be great if he would, I think my bold prediction is not looking great, because if he would be even like average offensively or slightly below average, he's one of the most valuable players in the league.
Yes.
It'd be great if like the numbers got just more to maybe where they were like his rookie year or what you would expect from a first rounder. Just anywhere, better than what they're at right now. At the same time, like he is out there because this is indisputable. He's been the best defensive player in baseball the last 2 years.
Yes, his ability at the plate wins games in ways that unfortunately are difficult for fans watching on TV or watching even at the game to compartmentalize in their head. He wins games.
Yeah, I kept thinking about this. I don't know how much you follow basketball, but Victor Wembanyama recently, they asked him about being the MVP, and he had this whole little speech, which was kind of funny because guys usually don't say stuff like this about like how important defense is and how he's a game changer defensively. And I've been thinking about that with Patrick a little bit. It's a different case because like Wembanyama is like maybe the best defender of all time when all is said and done. He also scores a ton, so he's very good all around. But Patrick, he has one very specific thing, which is he is the best defensive catcher in baseball. And like you can go to some of the advanced stuff, like he basically lapped the field in advanced metrics the last couple of years. So that's all to say, like the people who are just, hot take artists is a good way to put it. Like I think there was too much placed on him through like Monday in the last few days. And it's really easy to pinpoint like that number 9 hitter when I would look at the top 6 guys and go like, what the hell is going on with some of these guys?
Yes. So if anyone's underperforming, it's not the guy who's like offense is not part of the skill set expected from him.
Yeah. So that's my Bailey rant because I just feel like I saw too much of that.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is Susac's been awesome. He's been historically awesome. No one's really done what he's done in Giants history. 5 straight hits to start his career, 6 of 7.
He heard the mailbag question slander about his debut runs not actually being impactful to the game, and stepped up and got some RBIs.
Big triple there.
Cleared the bases.
Yeah, so the thing about him, like, so I have a story coming up about this exact situation, which we'll talk about. And one thing that I wrote in there was that the Giants just got rid of 2 guys, Luis Matos, who was National League Rookie of the Week when he got his first, real run in 2024, and Tyler Fitzgerald, who was Barry Bonds for 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was, in 2024. So we see this, like we see these. That's the cool thing about baseball is you see these things where it's just like that guy. We just spent 2 weeks on this podcast talking about Joey Weimer, So this is like you have to always just like have a grain of salt with things like this. Having said that, he is a former first round pick. He is always been a very high caliber talent. This is not your average Rule 5 catcher. Like this is
a legacy giant.
Yeah, he's a legacy giant, but this is a real like first round talent, good prospect, 24 years old. The real hot take should be going after the A's for letting him get scooped up in the Rule 5 draft, not putting him on their 40-man. So there's something real here, I think. And he did make tangible changes in the offseason to his approach. And I do think there's something real there. And I think the conversation, to circle back to your initial question, is what do you do here? I think you let him face lefties basically until he proves he either is too good for that role or not. Or, maybe he comes back to he's not going to hit 8, whatever it is. But
you don't think the 2000 OPS is sustainable for a season?
Maybe comes back to earth enough that you do change it up a little bit. But like I look at Sunday, they're facing a lefty. Like that's automatic.
Yeah,
it's just automatic. Put him out there and see where this goes. And I think you be patient. And the real interesting thing for me is if he turns out to be a pretty good big league hitter, there's obviously long-term implications to that. But I also think there's short-term implications, which is, I think the bigger question is not what happens with him and Bailey. It's what do you do with this roster construction so you can take advantage of Daniel Susac. It's not a team that pinch hits a whole lot, but like, let's say he's just somebody who's hitting all these lefties and you do have a game like today where you want Bailey to start, but you do have like a Jung Hoo Lee who struggled against lefties. And you're like, well, you'd love to have Susac in that situation if he comes up if that comes up late in the game. So what they have to do, I think, eventually, if Susac is for real, is change the composition of this roster a little bit so they can use him a little bit more. And that's rare, but they also have the unique ability in Jesus Rodriguez, who's somebody they like, somebody who they believe will hit at the big league level. He's at AAA right now. He's on the 40-man. And, oh, by the way, he can play second base, left field pretty comfortably. He's played third. He can play first in a pinch. He's obviously a catcher. So I think down the line, there's maybe a really unique piece there where you have Rodriguez, and that allows Susac to either DH at times or maybe more importantly be a pinch hitter against left-handed relievers. But that is a conversation. We talked to Tony about this a lot pregame today. He understands, like, it's been 2 games. That's a conversation for down the line. But I do think it is an interesting conversation down the line.
This is, I don't know, maybe nonsense, but I also kind of like the fact, I mean, Bailey's offense, we've always said on this podcast, is just a bonus. What he does behind the plate is what he's here for. If he can be average or slightly below average, as you said, that's just stellar. But he's never been in a situation that I can remember on the Giants where there was someone knocking on the door. As much as they wanted Joey Bart to be that guy, it didn't really pan out like that. So it's kind of cool that maybe Bailey has a bit of a fire lit under him here. I hear footsteps, whether they're real or not. There is chatter now, and I can play with a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, and I think this will be good for Patrick. And by the way, if you go back and look at that triple, they panned immediately to the dugout, and
he was going nuts.
So they get along. I've talked to Daniel about the flip side of that, of how much he wants to learn from Patrick Bailey, and it is a good problem to have, and I do think it can be good for Bailey. Take him out of some, disadvantageous. It's been a long day. Anyway, take him out of some matchups where he say easier. Some matchups aren't great for him. These day games, man. I got a mailbag question. If somebody's like, why don't they have more day games? I'm like, this is why.
Yeah.
So,
our brains are
a real answer for that person. But I think, like, there's also going to be situations where we've seen games where also, I think you could look at a Monday night's game. Patrick came up in the 9th inning, and that's not a great matchup for anybody against Duran. But if you have more flexibility, and also maybe if you feel good enough about your backup catcher that you want to take a risk of, hey, maybe Christian Cost is catching if this game goes to extra innings and something weird happens, you can use him, like, against a real tough reliever. Like, you can pinch hit your backup catcher. You can use Susac for Bailey late in games. So it's been 2 games. We've seen 2 great games from, I think I said this last podcast, the last guy to have a debut like him was David VR. So, like, this happens, but I do think Daniel's really talented and looks really comfortable, and it's a nice addition. Like, it's to have that catcher room is pretty impressive so far.
Let's put a cap on Tuesday with also giving some flowers to Robbie Ray, who went just shy of 7 with 0 earned runs and 7 strikeouts. That's exactly the kind of performance we were hoping he can string together all year long. Now, whether he keeps that going in the second half is obviously to be determined, but great showing by Ray. Liking what we're seeing.
I'll take you right into Wednesday's game, which is Tyler Molly pitched really well as well. And
he did.
And you kind of look up and I didn't realize the rotation coming into today was 5th in the majors in FIP, which strips out a lot of the BS they've had to deal with. And those guys have, like, all of the mistakes that have been made on the infield have basically happened to starting pitchers.
Yes.
So Hauser has deserved better. Roop certainly has deserved better. So it is sneakily, like, they've been good. I don't think anyone who's watched the first 13 games would be like, hey, this rotation's been good. But they have actually been pretty good. And when you account for all the mistakes behind him, and also the fact that a lot of the damage to their overall numbers is Logan Webb having a first start that you would never expect, like, it's been pretty good.
Yeah. That is, like, just a clip it. Hey, 2026, it's been pretty good.
It's been, you know what, I always thought that group, I think I've said this here before, the funny thing when everyone talks about that rotation, even when the starting pitchers talk about it, they kind of go like, hey, if we're healthy, we should be pretty good.
Yeah.
And everyone just kind of goes to if we're healthy, because some of the guys in that have not. Like, there's a reason that they're able to get the guys they did in the offseason on 1 and 2 year deals. But right now everyone's healthy, and I think everyone's throwing pretty well.
Yeah. This is the time to stack wins. Team's healthy. Let's see what else for Wednesday's game. Oh, how about this? First time the Giants have had back-to-back home shutouts, at least on the defensive side, since 2018. Now, I'm certain they've strung together much more and back-to-back since then on offense, but that's pretty cool. That, I mean, like I said earlier, I was referring to offense earlier, but it does just feel like things started going all right all of a sudden after a week or so of those exact same things going wrong.
Yeah, and it's really been a lot of guys. I mean, it's Walker on Tuesday, and then he kind of gets the heart of it, and then it's Gage and Killian.
Get a little exciting.
He does make it exciting. So no matter what inning. I do think also, like, one thing we've seen with him is they've thrown him at the heart of the lineup a few times and thrown him in tighter spots, which is the old, like, every manager ever says is going to do that and nobody ever does. So they've put him in some tougher spots. It's going to be interesting where his numbers end up. And I do think people are going to, there will be a day where it goes wrong for him, where it gets hairy and it just stays that way. But he has had to face tougher spots, it feels like, than like he'll face the tough guys and then somebody else comes in. It's like, here's the bottom of the order.
Yeah. Mop it up.
So I think he's actually
surprised we didn't see him in the 7th after Hauser came off on Monday.
Well, I think he was warming up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It ended up being Killian and Tidwell in the middle innings, but it's kind of been everybody. Gage gets his first win on Wednesday. Very cool story.
Good for him.
Drafted by the Giants 12 years ago. He's been really good. Killian's been really good. Tidwell pitches the 8th, and then Miller looked really good in the 9th. So I don't know who's in the circle of trust right now. It seems like it's going back and forth, but they are closer to finding a real circle of trust than they appeared on Monday.
Yes.
And I think you can squint and kind of go like, okay, Gage, Killian, Walker, like
a shape is forming.
Yeah, you're forming something that you're like, okay, you can get through the end of these games. They're doing it in an interesting way. They're doing a lot of, guy comes in the 6th, starts the 7th, other guy comes in the 7th, starts the 8th. They haven't done the traditional, like, hey, you get the 7th, you get the 8th, you get the 9th. I don't know that it'd be nice if they would get there. I think that's easier for guys, but yeah, right now they're just trying to get through these games.
I guess we're talking bullpen right now. As good a time as any to get to a quick early mailbag question from listener Rodney regarding Tony's bullpen management. Rodney asks, can the Giants bullpen really keep us in games? I think the Giants pitching as a whole is awful. I like Webb and Ray, but after that, we struggle significantly. Now, we are kind of doing Rodney dirty here by dropping a mailbag question like this that he submitted before the Giants shut out the Phillies on back-to-back nights. But hey, Alex, what do we think?
The timestamp on my phone said like 4:19 a.m. after Monday's game. So
this was a late night thought.
Or early morning on the East Coast. Woke up and like, where's the hell happened? It's again. I'll just go back to I think it's I don't think it's dramatic to say the season's going to be decided by those guys, and how quickly they figure it out, and how often they look like they did on Tuesday and Wednesday, and how often they look like they did on Sunday and Monday. Because the interesting thing about this bullpen is that there's such little experience. And even with some of the older guys, like Gage is 33, but he was telling me after this game, like he's going to hit a year of service time on Friday. So like Killian's a little bit older, but he hasn't pitched. This is his first year as a full-time reliever. So they just haven't done it. And Tidwell's young. Wynn hasn't done it a whole lot. They just haven't done it. And I think that's why it's weird, because like on days like Sunday and Monday, you go like, yep, this seems about right. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, you're like, oh, this kind of looks like it could work. So it's going to be a matter of how many times they are the former and how many times they're the latter, and how many games that I think the killer on Sunday and Monday is those actually like directly cost them games. Like,
Mhm.
it's not like you can come out Wednesday and give up 4 runs and be okay, but you can't do that on Monday with the way that game went. So, they've really, like, coughed up leads in some levered situations. But it's a good question. I think the second part of this, like, I think the rotation's gonna be fine beyond the top 2. But, yeah, it's gonna come down to these guys and who can figure it out and who can be consistent, and really some of this is just gonna be timing, like, when do guys blow up, you know? Like, Keaton
Mhm.
Wynn's been awesome for the most part, except for one game where it just happened to be really poorly timed that he left some pitches up.
I'm half mad at you, Alex, for putting the Blade Tidwell as our future sicko closer in my head because you really gave me a hankering for that role to be back.
Yeah, it's I don't know that it's I've said this over and over again. Tony has never even hinted that he's close to having a closer.
Yeah.
Like,
And when you're using Walker in the seventh, eighth to face the top guys, I mean, it's almost like we're living in a post closer world in this way he's managing.
he has said that over and over again, and nobody ever actually follows through with it. But this guy might be crazy enough to actually follow through with it.
There we
So,
go. Leave it to
um,
Tony.
yeah, it really is like if you just pull back and think about like, hold on, that was Boyd Tidwell in the 8th inning on Wednesday. Like he just got here,
Yeah.
and it's go pitch the 8th, kid. So, it might be crazy enough to actually try this.
Yeah. So I guess, back to the question at hand, what do we think of Tony's bullpen management? Just crazy enough to work?
I generally think, I mean, there's been a couple high profile, came back to bite him moments. I
Mhm.
generally think he's pulled the right levers. And like you look at a game like Wednesday, they had 3 lefties in their bullpen. They used one of them, and then Caleb Gillian comes out to face Schwarber and Harper. And you're kind of like, this shouldn't work, but it
Mhm.
did. He struck out Schwarber, and you got Harper to roll over, and it worked. So it. I generally think he's pulled the right levers
All right.
and has done it. And a lot of that is not just him; it's his pitching guys. But I think if you like had a chalkboard of like wins and losses on individual decisions for this bullpen, for the most part, it's worked out okay. And even some of the ones where it blew up in his face, like, we want Keaton Wynn in that situation the other
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah. Like you said, you pulled the right lever. That's
yeah,
about all you can do as a MLB manager is make the right move. And that's the thing about baseball is the right move doesn't
yeah.
always work.
You're like you lost the game with Wynn and Miller, like with this current group. That's
Yeah.
about as good as it gets.
I
So
get it.
yeah, I think he's actually done okay, better than okay.
All right, Alex, discussion question number 2. What's going on with Elliot Ramos? He's got an under 200 average. He is striking out like crazy. A lot made of last year's All-Star being our opening day left fielder,
Yeah,
breaking the streak. And here we are like, are there any other options? We've talked at length about the amount of quadruple A outfielders the Giants have
yeah.
waiting in the wings. We know there are guys, high energy guys, fans are ready to see right there. What's going on with Ramos?
Well, first and foremost, his swings off. I mean, the bat speed is down. He's making some adjustments. It's not working. I this to me strikes me as a let's touch on it this podcast and like a week from now might be really having a conversation about this.
Hey, you're
I think
dropping a little circle back on me.
circle back on me. This is it. 20 strikeouts and 47 at bats. He's hitting what's he at? 180, something like that, 191.
What?
Um,
What? One extra base hit?
yeah, this is a circle back. I think this is, one of those we're on the road trip halfway through. We're gonna be like, what did he figure it out, or is this becoming a real?
Yeah.
50 at bats is still not a lot, but it's gotten to the point now. I think with 2 guys, both of them in the corners, him and Jung Hoo Lee, where you just kind of go, what's going on here? And
Yeah.
and again, 50 at bats is not a lot, but you start getting to 70, 80, 100, you start going, what's going on here?
I think I'm also not going to bring up Lee yet. That'll be a circle back as well because that is a painful and rough conversation to have when it has to be had. You see the reaction he gets, you look at the zeros on that contract, and at some point we need something else out of that role.
Yeah, I think it's been, for me at least, I think the outfield stuff has been a little overshadowed by just like, quite frankly, I mean, Devers and like start for everybody. The first 10 games for everybody was bad, but until today, like I kind of just go like, well, Devers is the dude here. But the more guys start to get going and Willie's there and Chapman is there and Arias has gotten going, you start to look around and go, the outfield hasn't been great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, Bader's not here for his bat, but certainly a black hole on offense right now.
Yeah. Just has not been, this road trip. This is a circle back. Let's see.
There we go.
We're slightly better hitting environments than they've been in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has not been great.
All right. You touched on these guys already, but I'm going to follow up with another question. Who has been the best Giants player through the first 2 weeks of this season? We've got Matt Chapman, who's been turning it on. I know my pick. I kind of want to let you go first, but who do you got?
Good question. I think Chapman's been their best hitter. I think I was surprised even that he wasn't higher in the lineup to start the year, because I thought he was pretty clearly their best hitter in spring training. And just even in batting practice looked different than some of the other guys. I think Arias has been their best player. And he's kind of in the middle of a lot of the good that happens. And it's a real interesting, like, if the defense is even average, and
which it's been plenty average so far.
Been plenty average. And look, the one downside with Arias so far is we've very clearly seen that Oracle Park is not going to be kind to him.
Yes.
Like, when he gets the ball in the air at Oracle Park, and he's a small guy, and just like, it looked like would it have been a grand? I don't know what it would. It looked like he hit one to the moon the other day and it dies. And it's just not going to be, that's just not who he is. But other than that, he's been in the middle of a lot of it.
Well, that was my exact pick as well. So super anticlimactic there. I'll float Willy Adames then, just for funsies, mostly because we've got some very fun moments post game for him. He's already got his Gatorade dumping bobblehead and lived up to it, but he's stringing hits together as well. It just feels like guys are figuring it out finally.
Can I ask you a hot take question?
Sure.
And granted, I have bobblehead Willie right behind me here.
You do.
Is there this should be saved for certain situation here? Like, do you know is it when you're doing it every win?
I mean, Alex, is it every win, or is it every time a rookie does something that hasn't been done since the 1900s?
Well, he got Chapman on Tuesday.
Oh, that's true. He did.
Yeah. He got Arias on Wednesday. He got Susac. Kylan's laptop survived.
So they came prepared.
Yeah, so it's I'm just asking the question because you're the fan here.
I get what you're saying. I also believe in celebrating wins when wins are tough to come by. I am sure looking in externally, that is a bit of an eye roll from other fan bases. That is a bit of like a wow, that's a big deal for you guys. But frankly, yeah, it is a big deal right now when the Giants score runs. It is a big deal when the Giants shut out the other team. So I'm okay with it. But I understand where your question comes from.
I'm just concerned for whoever has to do the laundry every time. Anyway, I'm putting that in our circle back file of like, if they get on a roll here, sometimes I just don't know that the power rate's necessary.
How about at the end of the season, we will award the most unnecessary power rate dump?
I like that. We'll track that.
Yeah, someone remind us in a few months because we will absolutely forget. But yeah, I dig that.
It's like a 7-1 game that was boring the whole time, and the opposing team put a position player on the mound, and someone gets soaked at the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll try that.
All right. We've got more mailbag questions, including a very important Willy Adames one that I'm sure listeners are surprised we haven't gotten to. Plus, we're going to preview the next series, Giants versus Orioles. Before we go any further, though, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Mancini's is now the official sleep partner of the San Francisco Giants because great performance starts with great sleep. Your purchase is backed by their 365-night comfort guarantee, which gives you a whole year to try your mattress and make sure it is giving you the comfort you deserve. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. Alex, how crazy is it that a listener could buy their Mancini's mattress now and the comfort guarantee lasts potentially until the lockout is over?
Man, we haven't talked lockout in like 3 weeks.
I had to pepper that one in.
Positive vibes going, and here we go.
Our first mailbag question is from Jace. Jace says, what did Alex do to celebrate Willy Adames' 200th double? Now, we did not do an emergency podcast. Maybe we should have. This is obviously a big talking point here on Giants Talk. Plus, it happened against the Phillies.
Great question. I believe I have missed every 200th double since the 200th double. I went back and tried to, because we've talked about this, I feel like once a year for the last few years. Wilmer did it. Matt Chapman did it. I don't think I'd been at the ballpark for any of them somehow. So I was off on Tuesday and I was hanging with my kid and I was taking a bath and I get a couple texts and I'm like, what just happened? Or I wasn't taking a bath. He was taking a bath. And I'm like, what just happened? Oh, a 200th double. So the brand is strong.
The brand is strong, dude.
Was not able to be there and like take a picture of the scoreboard, make sure they celebrated the correct way. I will say, if you're in scoreboard ops, maybe a Photoshop. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, have that one ready. It's against the Phillies. This is like, of all the 200th doubles, this was the one to stop the game for and do a little mini ceremony.
I think Arias is like 30 away. That would just be a real special moment for like the 20 people in the ballpark who understand.
Well, he's 30 away. Let's see. He had 30 doubles last year. So we're looking at bold prediction Segura watch for Arias.
Well, my previous ones were terrible. So maybe my bold prediction is I get to see another 200th.
That's a good pivot. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Did we celebrate enough? I think as a San Francisco Giants organization, no. That is a Gatorade dump. Mid-game. Run it out to second base, dump it on him on second, continue the game.
Adames Gatorade dumped, Powerade dumped Chapman. Chapman should have flipped it on him and said, hey, you got your 200 double.
Yes.
We're here to celebrate.
Alex, there's got to be some fairly new listeners who are like, what the hell are they talking about right now?
Google it. Gene Segura, 200 double. Take a break from the podcast. You're going to have a good time.
Good time. All right. From Thomas. Thomas says, did you guys take another crack at the chicken tenders? I will start up by saying, yes, I have ordered the chicken tenders. Maybe it's my luck. I've been getting some good sized, well-cooked tenders. Maybe they see me coming and like pull out the VIP tenders. But I have nothing to complain about. That being said, I have seen social media chatter about size. One person like had undercooked chicken, which is never good. What's your chicken situation in 2026?
I haven't circled back since the first time, which was disappointing. So I haven't circled back on that. Well, I like to give them a few weeks, like get into the flow of things.
Sure.
I did have on Wednesday I want to get the name right. It's like brisket mac. Have you had this? The brisket mac and cheese, grilled cheese?
Yeah, I had it at media day. I have not had it at the ballpark.
I've been hyping the birria grilled cheese, which is good. The brisket version is unbelievable.
Okay.
Like, it's heavy. We make this joke sometimes. You might get caught by Kruk and Kuiper sleeping after it, but it's really, really good. Okay. So I was very impressed by that.
I'm going to come back, and this isn't a ballpark food, but a pregame spot. I think Quick Dog across at China Basin has one of the best burgers I've ever had in my life.
I've heard good things. I haven't been, but
swing over, sneak away.
I will. Yeah, the brisket mac and cheese grilled cheese.
Okay.
Whatever it's called, it's awesome.
Yeah, love it. Love it. All right. One more question from today's mailbag from Anthony. Anthony says, I've been to 4 games this year and I haven't seen where the relievers are warming up on the scoreboard. I could be missing it. Do you know anything about that?
I pulled this off my Twitter mentions actually because I thought it was a really good question and I've been thinking about it myself. So I hope Anthony listens to the podcast. I don't know where it is either. My view is blocked a little bit by the overhang in the press box, so I don't get a full view of the scoreboard unless I try to actively. But I've had the same thought a couple times of, I don't know where the names are. So.
It's the kind of thing that I'm sure it's up there, but I do, just with the wealth of information available on the scoreboard now, sometimes look at it trying to find something, and I just am like, I need to punt here. I cannot find the thing I'm looking for.
Here's what I'll say: this is a whole circle back pod, so we're gonna check back on this next homestand.
You're just giving us homework, man.
Yes. However, since I know that people who work in some of these departments listen to the podcast,
yes,
I would recommend. We're very happy with the new scoreboard setup.
It's awesome.
Yes, I would also recommend. I really love the way they did it before, where it was like basically at the bottom of the scoreboard, like kind of situated with whichever bullpen you were looking at. So you're like trying to figure out who's warming up for the Phillies, and it's at the bottom of the scoreboard there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not sure where they put it because like a lot of times cannot see the full scoreboard from my seat in the press box. But if it's not up there, it should be up there.
Yeah, and like I said, it has to be up there, right? That's not the kind of thing you leave off.
I don't know. We will circle back.
All right, we'll circle back. All right. That's our mailbag questions for the day. As always, if you have questions for myself or Alex, we'll answer them here on Giants Talk. Just go ahead and send them to us wherever you can find us on social media. We'll add them to our catalog, our library of existing questions. Find a good, topical, reasonable day to get to them. Before we get to your interview with Zack Minasian, Alex, let's take a look at Giants versus Orioles. Who do we have in the pitching matchups?
It is Landon Root versus Shane Baz, Logan Webb versus Chris Bassett, and Adrian Hauser versus Cade Povich. No relation, but I'll look up where it's from.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very good. They're heading on the road. I was about to say for the first time this year. I guess they did have that short stint in San Diego. 3-city trip. And would you say this is one of the I don't know, softer parts of the month of April?
Of April specifically, yeah. Although I don't, it's a weird, like, not the easiest trip. Like Baltimore's supposed to be pretty good. Cincinnati's supposed to be pretty good. I think they're off to a good start. And then the Nationals are just pesky.
Yeah, I guess the next road trip, Marlins, Phillies, Rays is probably the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, this one's weird too because they fly to Baltimore and then go to Cincinnati and then fly back to DC. So MLB could have kept them in that area for a week, but they're doing this weird.
Interesting.
Also, this also strikes me as a potential rain delay. Like, hey, why did I see 6 straight episodes of Giants Talk? Oh, hey, they're in rain delay. So
lucky you guys.
Yeah, but it's. I don't think it's an easy trip. And Baltimore's won 3 straight. Bunch of old friends over there: Craig Albernez, Donnie Ecker, Dustin Lind. So yeah, I don't think it's easy. It's Tony's been talking this up as like a big like get the whole group together. Strikes me as more of a college thing. No disrespect, but just like that maybe is like a bunch of 18-year-olds go on the first big college road trip of the year. Yeah. This I think is actually just sneaky, more like this is going to be not the easiest. So
yeah.
I think they're kind of, it's a weird April because, and it's weird to say this, and I know no one would have been happy with this after like Monday, like 3-4 against the Mets and Phillies is okay. And where they're at right now is not great, but it's okay after winning the last 2. I kind of think it's like continue to tread water on this road trip, and then the Dodgers come into town and you kind of get through April. And then after that you can get going. But that's where I kind of feel about this trip. Like, just don't get like blown out of the water.
Yeah, don't get caught flat-footed. The Orioles got off to a slow start, but just swept the Chicago White Sox, who, remember, this year are a powerhouse, who swept the AL winning Blue Jays.
who knows what's going on over there. So, yeah.
American League it's a league I don't focus on enough. So when I do see stories, my information I'm basing it on is so out of date.
Yeah. Pete Alonso's over there now. So, yeah, we don't see a lot of the Orioles, but
our brothers in orange and black.
Yeah. And there's no Yaz to destroy him this time. So someone else will have to step up.
Very, very true. All right. With that, let's toss to your sit down with Zack Minasian. Alex, anything we need to know going into this interview?
Yeah, I talked to him on Monday afternoon, just kind of timing with the way this series worked. This is the best time to do it for this podcast. So maybe a little bit dated. They were coming off a rough weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think there's some general stuff about the bullpen and the roster construction that we wanted to have on here. And then also I always like to ask these guys about the minor leagues and who's standing out and all that. So hope people enjoy it. And I thought there was one really good answer about hitting good pitching, which they did. We should actually, one thing we totally glossed over is they really took it to Christopher Sanchez.
Yes.
After every other ace quality pitcher they saw was like, hey, I'm going to flirt with history. But yeah, they did a nice job on Tuesday.
Beat up on Aaron Nola too.
Yeah. So they've, maybe coming around a little bit. You know what? Right. Life's a lot easier when Willie Adames and Matt Chapman and Rafael Devers and Luis Arias are
who would have thought?
Along. So yeah.
With that, here is Alex with Zack Minasian.
All right, Zack Minasian, general manager of the Giants. Tough day, I guess, to have you here, but can you just kind of give a summary of just what you've thought of the first 10 games?
Yeah, obviously disappointing, not the way we wanted to start. 3-7, not all bad, but certainly a lot of things to improve upon. And look, there's a lot of players that are taking the field every day with track record and guys who have a lot of major league success, and we expect it to turn around.
One thing that surprised me a little bit is some of the sloppiness, just because we saw such a crisp camp, and Tony seemed like he really put an emphasis on that stuff in spring training. I know that maybe that's more frustrating up in the executive's box. What have you thought of just kind of that part of this?
Yeah, I think anytime you don't play up to your capability, it's frustrating. I think there's a lot of players out there, that I'm sure are frustrated, and some of it, and Tony's mentioned this, you got to be a little careful. It becomes the old chicken and the egg. You're trying to do more, and it just leads to maybe gripping the bat too tight or making mistakes you don't usually make. So some of these things, as difficult as it is to be patient, we have to be patient in the front office and just trust that the track record defensively with a lot of our players as well, that'll turn around and where we're sloppy now, we'll be really tightened up soon.
You were here with Farhan and Gabe in a season where it seemed like the lineup was different every single day. There's platoons every night. There's 7 guys on this team.
I remember reading about it. Yeah.
7 guys who have made 10 starts. Patrick Bailey has made 9. Same lineup again tonight. What have you and Buster thought of the continuity Tony's gone with? And also, is that kind of the way you envision this with all these everyday players?
Yeah, I think when you look around the field, certainly guys that coming into the season deservedly should be out there every day. And then you have to make adjustments as the season goes on. So whether that's going to be the case 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 2 months from now is anyone's guess. But I think coming into the season and looking around the field, we certainly felt like there's going to be a good 7 or 8 guys that are out there every day. And I think Tony's going to continue to try to leverage the entire roster. I know I talked to him today. We've talked several times about trying to find opportunities to really use some of our players' strengths who are on the bench. So whether that's Cost defensively, J.O. running the bases, things like that, he's going to try to leverage more. And, hopefully we play better earlier in the game and it allows him more options later in the game.
I'm sure it's frustrating up there in the press box for you guys, but when you watch Tony get ejected for the first time, did you kind of think it would be around the 10th game, or what would you have bet as the over-under?
Well, I heard this a long time ago from Buck Showalter. Anytime your team is not playing well and you have a day game, your manager is at risk of getting tossed. So I wasn't totally surprised. And I saw Tony's comments yesterday about being sure that the umpires got it right per the rule book. But I think we all saw the other day in San Diego a similar play that didn't go our way, and I'm sure that's kind of where his frustration stemmed from. But look, there's going to be ups and downs over the course of the season. Obviously, we've faced a tough down, and we need to respond. And we have a staff that's just going to continue to work, continue to push forward. And we have a lot of players that way too that are going to be resilient. We're going to have to be. So because we need to come out of it and start playing better.
You mentioned the roster construction, and it's interesting the way you guys put this bench together. All right-handed, you could argue, given what we've seen the first 2 weeks, that like Susac maybe is good an option as any of them late in the game, although he's your backup catcher. You have Oliver, the speed guy, hasn't really gotten to get in there. How long do you guys think you can go with this specific construction, and especially if you're playing the starters this often?
Yeah, it's tough to pinpoint an exact date. I think you try and learn as you go what's working, what's not working. Maybe where is there an opportunity to pinch hit for someone that we weren't able to take advantage of because of the personnel. I don't know if that's necessarily come up enough to the point where it's, oh man, the construction of the roster is necessarily the biggest issue right now. But we're always trying to continue to learn where we're at, what's working and what's not, and we'll adjust accordingly.
When you look at the lineup, 26 runs through 10 games, how do you kind of balance? It's been a really rough start, and also like Max Fried, Cam Schwitler, Nolan McLean, Nick Pivetta. Is there like a tip your cap, but you don't want to tip your cap too much? At some point, you got to get going against those guys?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of tip your cap, but look, my boss expects to beat good pitchers too. So Buster has a very high standard that he's expecting, and we expect as a front office. And it's because we believe we're capable of that. We think offensively we can be one of the better offensive clubs in baseball, and it hasn't shown. So, but guys just got to keep plugging away. It's a long season. We saw this last year almost in the reverse, where things started off really well and we weren't able to maintain that. So, hopefully we see the inverse of that because we feel like there's talent and the hard work is being put in.
We talked about the bullpen in spring training, and I know you thought maybe there might be some growing pains because there are some young guys who haven't done this before. You see Keaton go out and look just like one of the best relievers in the game in San Diego, and the struggles yesterday. How do you handle those growing pains, and how do you put this group together where it is a bullpen that can hold a one-run lead?
Yeah, I think we've seen some positives there, and certainly some guys that we think are going to continue to grow and get even better. I think you go into it knowing that there are going to be some tough spots. You hope it doesn't cost you games. Yesterday was a tough one, but there's been games where those guys have come in and thrown really well. So in some essence, you take the bad with the good and hope that guys are going to be so much better for it, for the better part of the season. So, if we don't think there's upside for the long term, then it's not something we should be exploring, but we do. And I think we've all seen that in flashes, and it's a tough thing to do to sustain success at the major league level. And that's what our guys are going to face, and hopefully they respond.
A lot was made with your fan base of not being that aggressive with the bullpen in the offseason. How much did you believe in like Keaton, Blake Tidwell, some of these guys that you just think they can be the solution during the course of the year?
Yeah, I think when we went into it, it was more looking at the group as a whole. Certainly people in our front office, a part of our coaching staff, maybe have certain belief in this player or this pitch or so on or so forth. But we felt like as a group, collectively, there was arm talent to work with. I think we're seeing that. I think there's obviously, you mentioned the growing pains, and we're going to go through that. But we thought there was a collection of talent to work with, and we feel like we still have that even at AAA. Tristan Beck's down there, Spencer Bivens, acquired Dylan Smith in a trade, Carson Wisenhunt, Carson Seymour, Trevor McDonald. So there are other options down there as well, and we're going to need a lot of pitchers to get to where we want to go. But certainly encouraged with the upside of what some of these relievers hold and what they've shown early. So it's a matter of getting more consistent. We think they can do that.
I think last year when we did this and when I sat down here with Buster every few weeks, I would always ask the Bryce Eldridge question.
Yeah.
We've seen Bryce already, so I'm going to go further down. The guy who really stood out the first week of minor league play was Gavin Keelan in Eugene. I think he had 2 homers the first game, a walk-off homer. How quickly can he move, just given he was a 3-year guy in college, a first-round pick?
Yeah, look, every player is different. I like to think they all move at their own speed, and they tell us how quickly they can move. So certainly him getting off to this great start says a lot about where he's at and what kind of ability he has, and we'll see where it goes. It's tough to say 1 week is enough to maybe promote someone, but if he keeps playing well, he forces the issue. We're certainly not looking to hold anyone back either. So excited for him. and hopefully he can keep it up.
I know that's more of a Michael Holmes department, but before the draft, when you were looking into him a little bit with the first-round pick, what did you like about him specifically?
He's a hitter. He's a confident hitter. He plays with a swag and with a swagger, and he's got a good way about him on the field. Tough kid, gamer, and kind of tries to fight you tooth and nail to make sure he wins an at bat. Wins an inning, wins a game, wins a series. So, and he's certainly shown that. And it's been great for us to have a full off season with him, work with him, getting to know our minor league system better, our people getting to know him better. And he's certainly responded early on. I thought he had a great spring. The time he came up to play for the big league team. He's got a huge supporter, obviously, with Tony and Q as a part of our strength and conditioning team, and Frank. Obviously, they know him very well, and he certainly got off to a great start.
All right, Zach, appreciate you sitting down, especially coming off of that weekend.
Thanks, Pav. Next time we do this, hopefully it's a lot better.